Hey guys, and welcome to Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary. Today I'm going to be showing you how to get all the skulls from the Halo campaign. Now there are 13 in total, so let's get started. Now the first skull is on the Pillar of Autumn, and it's right after you get given the option to exit the cryotube. You get the nice cutscene of Chief waking up. And it's just before you go over to check your inverted right analog stick looking. That's a great description, but you know what, you'll know. It's the red square, so go past the red square, and behind those two fuel pillars is your first skull. And if you collect that skull, you get an achievement for Looks Like the Oddball for 10 Gamerscore, which is to find your first skull in the campaign. Now, we're on to the second mission, Halo, and it's right at the beginning of the mission, after you crash landed your drop pod. You'll see all your dead guys. And if you carry straight on forward, you'll see a waterfall in the foreground. In the foreground? In the background. And if you keep going over towards it, right behind the waterfall, is your second skull, which I believe is Mythic. I think it's Mythic. Alright, I just have to wait for a while, because I didn't edit this bit out. But I've just played the Halo campaign. I got it a day early, so that's why the achievement guide is so quick. It's actually really... it brings back so many good memories. Anyway, there's your second skull, Mythic. Okay, now you're still on the same level, and it's after you've helped clear out and save a few of your Marines. There'll be a Warthog dropped. You don't have to go pick it up, but I decided to pick it up because I didn't know exactly how far the skull was. But if you go over this hill, you'll have the choice to go down to the underground tunnel. Don't go into the underground tunnel, quickly go to the right, well not quickly, just go to the right. And if you walk along the side of the cliff here, without falling off, and stay quite a bit to the right, because the slope will take you off quite easily. But you can do it again and again and again, so it doesn't really matter. But right at the back of this cliff is your third skull, which is Boom, which is a new skull, I think. At least I don't recognize it. But there's your third skull right there. Boom. Now, the fourth skull is one of the few skulls that you actually have to be careful, and you can miss. Now, as soon as you enter this room, you'll know because it's the only room with the massive open space on the left-hand side. Go straight to the far right-hand side of the room. Now, when I get there, the door is not open. That's because there's no enemies, but enemies will spawn there and come out. Now, I'm going to just quickly fast forward, so it's that door. Now, there will be two chances. Enemies will come out at this point that I'm showing you, and there will be two hunters that will come out later on. If you don't get it at that point and there's no enemies near the door, you will not get that skull because the door will not open. But there's your fourth skull, foreign skull. I think that's a new skull as well. Now going on to mission 4, which is Silent Cartographer, the mission that everyone has played, even if I don't think you even bought Halo when you played a demo. Now, right at the start of the mission, if you turn around, this is not the only time you can get this skull. You can get it later on after you've deactivated the control room, but it's much easier just at the start of the mission to just turn around. I'd advise going around the left-hand side. It's a little bit quicker, about 5 seconds quicker. But if you go around the right-hand side or the left-hand side, there's a ramp leading up to the top of that rock. And there will be your fifth skull? Fifth, yes. I'm just looking at the little editing bar down here trying to count the titles. I think it's the fifth. Yeah, it's the fifth skull. Kind of bad that I don't know. I should really have a sheet of paper. But right at the top there. God, why didn't I edit this? Ah, whatever. But right at the top there is your fifth skull, which I believe is Famine, which is not a new skull. Yep, Famine. Now later on in this mission again is the really disgusting, horrible skull to get. You'll know when you try and get this skull. It's just before you deactivate the control room. You don't have to, it will still be there, but just save yourself trouble so you don't get the checkpoint. And right at the back there on top of that bridge, now you have to perfectly grenade jump. I advise basically crouching, putting the grenade under you, and just quickly jumping and moving forward. It takes a lot of attempts. I even crouch at the end there to get it. It took me about 40 tries to get that. Maybe that's bad, but I don't know. And you see me celebrating, but that's the bandana skull. Moving on to the next mission, which is Assault on the Control Room. Now this one is also have to grenade jump, unfortunately. Now don't go off these ones. I think you can still do it off this ramp, but it's much easier if you go to the back of this room and you grenade jump onto that platform there. I think that's what it's actually designed for, but you can do it from the other way. Again, crouch down so the grenade stops, and just jump forward, and you'll land there, and inside that little area is your 7th skull, and if you pick it up, you should get the achievement for finding half the skulls in the campaign for 25 Gamerscore. So at the moment you got 35 Gamerscore. Pretty easy, actually. Now, moving on to later in the mission. Now, I've cleared out this area. There'll be lots of enemies here, but it's this massive chasm area. And if you just go straight forward and look down to the right, on one of those little sticking out pillars, you will see the skull. Just drop down onto it. Unfortunately, you can't get back up, so you'll have to kill yourself once you get this skull. But that's the malfunction skull, which I think is a new one as well. On to the next mission. There's only one skull in this mission. It's 343 Guilty Spark. It's right at the start of the mission. You'll go across this fallen tree. You'll have to do it. And you'll know where you are, because it will tell you to go right into the underground area to find out what's going on with the flood. But if you look to your right, you'll see a massive explosion. That's where you're supposed to go. Don't go that way. Keep going straight on, past this shade turret on the left here. And if you drop down behind it, you'll find your 9th skull? 9th skull, which is right down at the bottom there, and it's the Recession skull, which I think is also a new one. I mean, I never played Halo 2 on the Xbox, so if these are not new, please don't write in the comments, oh, these aren't the new. But anyway, this is the library, and this skull is right in the top right-hand vent there, and it's right at the beginning of the campaign, of this mission, sorry, and it's the yellow room on the right. Just quickly grenade jump onto that pillar there, and go in the right-hand vent, and right at the back of that vent is the skull Black Eye, which I know is definitely in Halo 3. So, that's your 10th skull. Later on in this mission, now, be careful, because there's no restarting checkpoints. You have to replay the whole mission again, and I actually had to because I missed the skull. You'll see the index there on the left. If you step on the platform, the level ends. So do not step on that platform. Go round to the right-hand side. Keep going right, keep following the passage to the right. I'm going to cut forward because it's quite a long passage. And if you keep going, you'll be right behind where you should get the index from. And there is your skull. And that's the 11th skull. On to mission 8, which is 2 betrayals. Now, you will have to get this Banshee. It'll be right at the end of the level, but you have to get it, so don't worry about not having to go get it. You will. And you'll see the waypoint up there. That's where you're supposed to go to deactivate one of the engines, so it takes... No, not one of the engines, but one of the areas. I've just played the campaign, I cannot believe I don't remember this. But you have to... It's basically using your shields to slow down 343 Guilty Spark. But go past the waypoint, and the underground tunnel you'll see in the background where you've come from, which is actually on assault on the control room. Go past that and go on top of where that underground tunnel is, and right behind that little sticking up part on the left hand side is the skull. I actually didn't know where it was at the time, so you'll see me looking around going, where is it? But it's behind that will now be the right hand pillar. It's right there. And that is your 12th skull, and means you only got one more to go. Now, there are no skulls on the level keys, but this is the last skull. It's on the moor. As you're driving away, you'll have that waypoint where you see Fohammer get shot down in her Pelican. Quickly grenade jump. I don't think you have to grenade jump, but it's easier if you do, so you don't waste time. And your skull is right at the back of that pillar. And that's your 13th skull, and that's the achievement Headhunter for 50 Gamerscore for finding all the hidden skulls in the campaign. Hope this helped, and stay tuned for the terminal guide that I'm going to do later on. See you guys.